Hello everyone and welcome back for some more freshly brewed drag tea. Today I have with me a hilarious queen who charmed us all with her humour and kindness on Canada's Drag Race Season 2. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey into drag. We'll of course be talking all things Drag Race and I'll be asking some of the great questions that you all sent in. Please join me in welcoming the always entertaining Océane Aqua-Black.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you? You look amazing. I love the ears.
Oh, thank you. I'm fantastic, actually. Like, everything is so good. And yeah, it's like party all the time in my head. So it's perfect.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on my channel. I know my subscribers were super excited that you were going to be on. They were all sending in questions. We'll get to that at the end. But yeah, so I just obviously wanted to get to know you a little bit. I'm sure people would love to know, a bit more about you. We fell in love with you on the show. You were so funny and you were always so you always had a smile. You were always so lovely. So what I'd like to do is first just sort of start off with, how did you sort of get into drag and how did that all come about?
Oh my God, it takes me back 18 years ago. I began doing drag at my local bar because I'm from Quebec City, if people didn't know. So when I arrived at Quebec City for my studies, first of all, I'm from the countryside. So the place where there's a lot of cows and a lot of pigs and everything. So when I got to Quebec City, which was an actual city, I was like crazy. I was going out everywhere, every time, every day. And my first time was at the drag club. That's the only drag club in Quebec City. And I was just, going out with some friends and making new acquaintance and, partying. And the artistic director at the time saw me dance on the dance floor and he said, well, you should try to do drag. You should try. We have a special night for beginners and everything. Ooh, those ears. So I decided at first I was like, well, I don't want to do drag. I don't want to be a woman. Like, it was just out of the question for me. But he kept asking and kept asking and kept asking. And finally I did, well, maybe with a little bit of wine and a little bit of booze, I'll try it. So I tried it and the response was so big from the audience that they asked me to come back the week after. And I said, well, I kind of liked it. Like, I don't know, all this energy and everything was happening so fast. And, I always loved music. I always loved dancing. So I was like, well, I'm kind of in my element. If I have to get into a woman to do it, I'll do it. So, yeah. And from this point, it blossomed into the queen that I am today. And I'm so glad I did it because it's drag is such an art form where you can express your feelings, you can express everything. So yeah, for me, it's really important now. It's the center of my life.
Oh, that's such a nice story. And it's so nice that you've obviously found your calling in life. You obviously were meant to do this. You've got the attitude, the personality, everything.
Oh, thank you so much.
Did anyone ever did you ever think about being not necessarily drag, but just a performer? Because you're clearly, you're such a smiley, happy person with such a big personality. Did anyone ever say to you, you should be a performer or something?
Well, you know what? Totally, because before doing drag and a little bit during I was doing drag in the beginning, I was actually in theater. So, I was used to the stage. I was used to give a performance, another style of performance, but still a performance. So, yeah, I was used to crowd and I was used to, so the only aspect that was different with drag was that I had to go through all this transformation, which was more than what I did in theater, because of course we have characters, but not, that much. So, so I had a background in theater. So for me, it was just another step,
Yeah, it was the natural progression, from theater to drag. I think that's logical, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. And so obviously then, I think we all probably know you best for being on a little show called Canada's Drag Race. So what led you sort of to auditioning for season 2? Did you audition for season 1, or, you know, how did that sort of come about?
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't enter in season 1 because I didn't know what it was about and everything. So I just, wanted to check a little bit because we are so used to the US franchise. I was like, well, how is it gonna be in Canada? Is it gonna be like as prestigious as it is in US? And after the season 1, I actually was so entertained. I was like, yeah, that's quality. That's something that I'd love to do. So I'm gonna try my best. And like, I got it on my first try.
Wow, that's so cool that you got it on your first try. Like some people audition loads of times.
And throughout I was moving through the casting process, I was like, a little step closer and closer and closer, because it's like throwing something in the air because there are so many queens who audition. So I was like, well, I can like throw something and I don't know if it's gonna work. But the closer and the calls were entering in my phone and everything, I was like, okay, so they really take me seriously. So it was kind of exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine like that must be so exciting and so like cool to think that you, of all the queens in Canada, like you got in.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. What was the audition process like? Like what steps did you have to take?
It was I cannot like get into it really like thoroughly, if I can say, but what I can say is that it's a long process. The process is about I would say maybe 2 months, and you have to pass, I think, 4 to 5 steps before actually get on having the final call for the show. I'm not going to reveal those because I can't, but what I can say is that the race started 2 months before, because it's a lot. Like at a certain point, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this is too much. Like I have no chance. Like they asked too much, but I kept going and going, and it was like, well, it paid off.
It certainly did, because you came through that door, and I remember watching it, and they flipped to Adriana, and she said, yes. Oh, I recognize that laugh. And as soon as I heard you laughing, I was like, she's going to be someone to reckon with, that one, because you had such like, a big entrance, and you were so funny, and you could just tell like that is the queen.
Well, that's what I am. Like, I've always been that way. I think, I think it comes from the family that I grew up in. We're also joyful, and we're like that all the time. Like, I have a sister, I have a father, a mother, and we're all the same. So when we put us all together, it's kind of annoying. But it's like it's us. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Because so that kind of leads me on to like another question I was going to ask was, on the show, talking about family, you had like a really cool moment where you were talking about your background, and you were saying that you were originally born in Haiti.
Yes, totally.
And then you were sort of tragically sort of abandoned in a forest, and then you were adopted, I assume, by a Canadian couple.
Exactly, from the countryside of Quebec City. Yeah. Wow.
So you've got Haiti sort of background, but then a French Canadian upbringing. Like, that's such a kind of unusual but cool combination.
Like, I think that, like, I still think about it today, that I was so lucky, because I was like 1 in a million, and like people like what was the sorry, I'm always looking for my words since English is not my first language. But what I mean to say is that I was one of the lucky ones, because it could have been the person next to me, or it could have been, the person next to me, but they chose me. So it's like, it's kind of incredible. So yeah, totally aware of it. And, I've been adopted. I was 11 years old. So I think that I've always been raised, in the French Canadian environment. So I think that that's why I don't have that thick black accent that is so juicy that we have, but I don't have it because I've always been, here in Canada. So
yeah, you have a very distinctive French Canadian accent. So
yeah, totally.
It's great. It's so charming and everything. And I think that coupled with the fact that obviously you're just so funny, and you just radiate this kind of happiness. Obviously, I think that must come just from, I'm assuming, you yourself, but also your sort of upbringing and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a thing for me, it's a strength, but also a weakness. Well, let me tell you something. When I got my all the experience and I leave I live the experience of Drag Race and everything. I'm always someone who's on a party state, and I'm always happy to be here. And maybe I could have been a little more strategic in my approach to stay a little bit longer. But, I was here to have a good time. I was so happy to be here. And yeah, I think it got me into trouble. But I liked it. I liked every bit of it.
Yeah, no, you could tell you were so funny, and you could tell that everyone liked you. So many people in the comments were saying, what the questions for you were saying, you should have been Miss Congeniality, or you were in the running for it.
Oh, that's so
we'll get
sweet.
To that later. So what did it feel like walking into the workroom?
Oh my God, it was a moment. And because of everything that was happening with COVID and everything, we had, prior to working to that workroom, we had a 2 weeks at the hotel where we couldn't get out because we had to be quarantined to be sure that we're symptoms free, that we didn't have, because we were going to be close to each other. So walking into the workroom after 2 weeks of doing nothing is totally nerve-wracking. Because imagine you haven't seen people in 2 weeks and you're gonna enter in a place where you don't know anybody. So it's it messes up with your head. But I think it's part of the challenge. It's another challenge that we have to overcome that maybe other seasons didn't have, because yeah.
Yeah, because you walked into the workroom, you would never could tell you were nervous. You had such a big entrance. You were so at ease with the camera. You just came across as being the consummate professional, the entertainer. Did you know, when you sort of turned and you looked at the other queens that were stood there, were there any queens that you knew?
At first, when I turned around, no, because I couldn't see anything because I didn't have my glasses. So I had to literally walk to see them. And of course, Adriana, I know her because we used to work and we still work together, in Quebec City and in Montreal. And Isis Couture was also a big friend of mine way before the competition, because I booked her a lot in Quebec City, and we always hang out at each other's place. So to see her here, I was gagged. It was excellent. So yeah, those two people in particular, really. The other competitor, I didn't know them. I learned to know 10 new sisters, because it was all new, all different personalities. And yeah, there's so much going on in my head, because I'm oh, am I okay? Am I good? Do I do this right? And at the same time, what do they think about me? And, all of those keeps rushing in the moment that you enter the workroom. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it must be such an overwhelming experience. And I guess maybe it was a blessing you couldn't see anyone, because maybe it kind of made you feel a bit more relaxed because you just couldn't see anybody.
Exactly. So I was concentrating on me entering, and it's it's kind of tricky because, you know, we don't see anything before. We don't see the workroom. We don't see, we don't know how it's going to look like. We don't know anything. So to be able to put the first foot in that workroom, like a workroom that we have seen for 14 seasons on Drag Race, US and everything, that is legendary. This is a crazy feeling at the same time. So it's all mixed up emotions.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. That must be so overwhelming, and like just having to look around everything. I mean, for you, I guess you couldn't see anything, so you know. So when you walked in your sort of it flipped to your sort of confessional, and you were wearing your very jazzy shirt.
Yes.
And you said,
"My name is Océane Aqua-Black, and I say whatever I want when I want, and I don't apologize for it."
That's kind of the truth.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that sort of, are you known for being quite sort of like an outspoken person, or?
Yeah, I would say quite so. It may sometimes gets me into trouble, but I think that people know that it comes from a sense, you know, because I have a big sense of comedy, and sometimes I know that in 2022 we have to be careful of what we say and what we don't say. Like, the comedy now is not the comedy that it used to be like in, for example, the 90s, or, you know, like there are something that we can't go there anymore. There are some things that changed. So I have to be aware of those things. But, you know, I'm still learning because, you know, we're always growing up. But yeah, that's what I meant when I said that, is because sometimes I do some joke that are questionable. But, you know, people like or people don't. If they like, great. If they don't, I don't care. That's me.
Well, I think most people can agree that we liked what we saw. Like, you were really funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, like you never really said anything like, not that maybe they didn't show it, but you never said anything like really mean or kind of like rude or anything. You were always really nice. They always cut to you like a funny little confessional soundbite. You know, like you were always the one they went because you had a big smile and you were in your big jazzy shirt and everything. I just think, you know, you just came across as being a nice, like down to earth queen that wouldn't sort of like, doesn't have a bad bone in her body sort of thing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So obviously you walk in, you obviously meet everyone, and the first challenge was when you had to get onto that little bridge and jump into an ocean and reach for the crown. In that challenge, you obviously unfortunately talked about hurting your knee. Can you sort of talk a bit more about what actually happened?
I jump into this foam pit and I hear this cracking, and girl, bang! It's my knee. I don't know what's going on.
What happened actually is because when I jumped, like, I know that some people didn't understand how you can break a knee in a foam pit, but you know what happened is that because I'm very tall, like I'm 6'1" or something. When I jumped, and we can kind of see it on the picture, I extended my leg. So when I landed in the pit foam, my leg actually heard the bottom of the pit foam, and that's when I heard the crack, because I landed on my actual leg. So that was my error. That's what happened.
That sounds so painful. What, like, did you, how badly was it hurt? Did you have to go to like hospital or anything like that? Or did you say anything?
No. You know, we had such a nice crew all the time that we were here. They were taking care of us. Like, I've kind of never been taking care like this before. Like, for real. I had immediately ice. I had like, and you know, I think that what happened is that I kept saying, oh yeah, I'm okay. I was limping a little bit, but you know, the adrenaline is on and you don't want to go home because of this debacle. So I kept myself, no, I pushed through and I continue and everything. And, you know, by episode 2, I was kind of feeling better, but it was more, I would say, because I was like, so concentrated of what I had to do, because when I actually did my musical, I wasn't healed fully. And when I did my lip sync with Isis, I was like, okay, this is my last chance. I have to go all out for it. And the day after, I couldn't walk because like my knee was so swollen because, you know, I was on adrenaline and I didn't feel the hurt because I wanted to stay. So the next day when everything calms down, yeah, that's what I felt. And it was terrible.
Oh no, that's awful. Like, yeah, because you didn't really seem like in pain. You were just like getting on with it. You didn't really say anything. Like you were just sort of a trooper going in, you know, like that was really.
But I'm like that in life. Like I knew that, like, you know, Drag Race and this whole experience is a chance, and you know, chances like this don't come by, you know, always every year and every month and everything. So I knew that. I was like, come on, Oceane, push through. We don't care. I have to advance. And I didn't want to have the Eureka cut. So I was like, I'm going to do it.
Oh, that's, yeah. Because I remember as soon as you said about the knee, I was like, oh, is this going to be a Eureka? I was like, I hope not. Yeah. So obviously, you get back into the work after your mini challenge, and obviously, you know, you de-drag and everything. And then you get to the first challenge and you find out that it is a sewing challenge, creating an outfit from coat checks.
Yes.
What did you think when you saw that and realized what the challenge was?
I kind of expected it, you know. I wasn't really surprised by it. Of course, sewing is not my forte, we can say. But, you know, I wasn't like, you know, the first challenge is always like this in Drag Race. I think that now, going forward with season like 13, 14 and everything, they're changing it a bit. It's not always the first challenge, but if you look at the Drag Race franchise, the first challenge is always the design challenge. So I was like, I knew what I was getting myself into. I had taken a little course before going to Drag Race of how to, you know, pass the thing in the machine and, you know, how it works a little bit. I didn't create a piece of art, but you know what? It worked with my personality.
Yeah, well, because I was going to say, because I mean, for someone that doesn't sew, your outfit, you really made that like fit. Also, especially because you were limping and you had a bad knee.
Yes.
You sort of turned that into like an advantage almost and turned it into your performance, which I thought was a really good idea. It worked perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, in my idea, I was like, I'm going to go, because, you know, I'm not a real seamstress and everything. So I was sure that what I was going to do wasn't going to be like on point, like a real designer. So I said, I'm going to exaggerate it. And I'm going to be the girl that like was completely drunk at the club and decided to go to a party extravaganza, but still drunk and like, you know, with pieces falling everywhere. So I was like, that kind of goes with my interpretation of my premiere, which kind of would be possible in my case. So like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, you totally sold it on the runway. Like, I think you definitely turned like a kind of bad situation with your knee into a positive because it was so funny. As soon as you walked out, the judges were all like cracking up laughing. You could tell I was like, she's going to be safe. It's like, come on, she's got to be. How did you feel about it? Did you feel a kind of good reaction from the judges, or did you think perhaps you would be in the bottom, in the top?
I felt a good reaction because I heard they laughed, but I didn't know if they were laughing because it was good or they were laughing because it was, you know, not that good. And oh my God, what has she done? So because what we have to know about Drag Race is that when you're in, you know, when we listen to the series, we kind of know, you know what I mean? We kind of know like, oh, she's going to be in the top, oh, she's going to be in the bottom. But when we're actually here, what you don't know is that you don't see what the other people are doing. So you don't know if what you're doing is enough, what you're doing is bad, because you can't compare yourself. So that's something that viewers don't know, is that we don't see each other. So sometimes they say, well, how come she doesn't know she's safe? Well, it's probably because she didn't see what everybody else did. So, like, you know, when we were in her workroom and Beth said to me that she didn't think this was a great look, it was like, I was like, at first I was like, okay. But then she said, but I know that you sold it on the runway. And it must be because she heard the judges laughing and the judges having a good time. So, you know what I mean? It all depends on how you're selling it, but we don't see what the other people do. So that's a catch.
Yeah, that must be so bizarre. Yeah, I guess we don't think about it as the audience, that you only see what, like, your runway, but we obviously as the audience see everyone, but you only know what you've done. So yeah, that must be so difficult.
Even when the judges are deliberating, we don't hear that. So we never know what's we're gonna have the surprise when we watch it on TV, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think that you don't even really know what they said, kind of like behind your back a little bit until you watch it on TV. But I actually thought your outfit, even without the performance, I thought it was good. I was like, for someone who's not a seamstress, that is a good outfit. It looked good. It was funny. You really sold it. Your makeup was on point. You really did look like that drunk girl stumbling out of the club.
Totally.
So when you did find out you were safe, how did you feel?
So when I found out that I was safe, I was like so relieved because, like I told you, we never know what's in their head. We never know what they think. We didn't see what the other girls were doing. So I was like, and going into this competition, the challenge that I was dreading the most were the sewing challenges and the makeover challenge. That these two were the one that I was like trembling in my shorts because I know myself. But so to know that I was safe, I was like, it was a huge thing lifted. And because of my knee and everything, I didn't want to lip sync at all because I wouldn't have been able to give the performance that I can give. So I was like, phew.
Yeah, it must also be nice to know, like, you're not the first one to go home. Like, you're safe for another week.
Yes. And you know, I think that's a thing that I know that, like, Drag Race, it's part of the game and everything. But I think that that's a thing that is really unfortunate, is that that's why I really like the new format that they're doing. Like when they do two bunch of girls, and after that nobody gets eliminated, so you can get to know a little bit better the person who's gonna leave the first, because sometimes you don't get to. Sometimes there are incredible queens. And like if you take, for example, Miss Vanjie in season 10, she went on first, but we all see what she can do right now. You know what I mean? So it's nice, but I knew that with Canada, it was only like one bunch and everything, and they were sending one person away. And I was like, I don't want to be the first one to go because people want to have the time to know what I can do, relate to me. I want to be able to show what I can bring. So I was like, whew.
You obviously, thankfully, you were safe on the first week, and the second week, they come in and you do a mini challenge where you have to do a look to show off your neighborhood, like a pageant for your neighborhood. And someone did some poutine style outfit. How did you feel coming out in that, sort of representing Quebec? And
yeah, because, you know, Quebec City is, because I knew that another queen was from Quebec City too, because my first idea was to do New France inspired because of old Quebec. It's really popular for tourism and everything, because I worked in tourism for a lot of years. In fact, that's the domain that I studied. But I said, with another queen, maybe she's gonna go for that. So I was like, I think I'm gonna be a dish because, you know, like, every time I had tourists coming out the front desk in hotels and everything, it was always the same question: where is the best poutine? So I was like, well, I'm gonna be a poutine because I think that represents Quebec City.
Definitely. I mean, I love poutine, and I think it's so iconic for Quebec and everything. So
do you have those in the UK?
You can get it in like specialty restaurants, but it's not really like a thing.
Okay.
We have fish and chips, but It's not quite as good, but I mean, I love poutine.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. You know, all the British people are going to come after me, but I love poutine. That's great. Yeah, so obviously, and you win that mini challenge. How did that feel?
That felt great, actually. Like, I was like, I didn't expect it because once again, we didn't see what other people did. So everything that I saw, like when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, I missed so much. But, you know, when they announced my name, I was like, yes. And the DoorDash prize was like, mwah, exquisite for me. And I got to give $5,000 to a community of my choice in Quebec City. They were so happy. And I was like, I'm kind of making a difference. Maybe that money is going to save someone and I don't even know. So it was kind of, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, you know, you took your poutine and you kind of fed everyone around the world with it, in Quebec City at least. Yeah, and then, so, I mean, yeah, you definitely deserve that. Like, that was so funny. All the judges loved your outfit. They were laughing and everything. Like, it was so perfect. When I saw the poutine, I was like, yeah, that's great. And so, obviously, the second week's main challenge was the musical. How did you feel about that when you heard it was going to be a musical?
Well, at first I was so excited because I've done musical theater, and like normal theater too. So I was kind of excited until they said that we had to sing. That was like the letdown.
Yeah, that is such a hard challenge. They haven't really done it that often. There's only a couple of seasons where they've had to sing live.
No, I think they just did it like in season 6 with Adore Delano and Cornillac. But no, we didn't see that much and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you ended up, or your role was you were part of the trio.
Yes.
How did that feel? No, did you? Because when I watched it, even before they started, I was like, I think those three are the hardest roles because they're not really, you have to be in sync, and they didn't really have like funny lines.
Yeah. You know what I think like looking back at it right now, I think about it very differently. But looking back at it now, I'm thinking that this was the role to make someone fail. You know what I mean? Like, it's like in this short amount of time that we had, where we had to do choreography, we had to do we had singing lesson with the coach, we have the wardrobe, we have, in a matter of hours, to do everything. It was like crazy. And to have a perfect sync with 3 people, it's kind of impossible. I don't think it's possible. So I think that if I didn't chose this role, or if another one would have ended up in this role, I think there was going to be a problem, even though, but we'll never know. It's just my personal opinion. But yeah, it was kind of impossible to have a great finish with the amount of time that we had for 3 people being insane and finishing sentences with each other.
Yeah, that was, you could tell as soon as you looked at the roles, you were like, that is going to be the hardest role at completely. Those 3, they kind of didn't really have a part. And it was, yeah, I felt really bad for all 3 of you because I was like, they're clearly not going to be sort of in the top because of that role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so obviously, so that week's runway theme was Circus Eleganza. Yes. And you came out and I loved your outfit. It was so funny, so cool. Like, you were the circus tent.
Yes.
How did you feel about coming out in that outfit? Did you feel like you were going to be in the bottom for the challenge, but maybe the runway would save you, or kind of how are you thinking about it in your head?
Well, in my head, when I first of all, when I finished doing like everything, the musical, I knew that I was in trouble. So that was undeniable. And I was like, I was really down on myself. I was downing myself, and I was like, why did it work? And you know, when you're in the moment, but checking back at it, like after all these months and everything, I'm like, okay, so this happened and this happened, and that's why it went wrong. But in the moment, after I got off the stage, I was like, what have I done? I actually know how to dance. Like, I've been dancing like all my life. I've been doing choreography. Sometimes I have dancers and I follow the whole choreography. But I normally choose the song that I want to do, and the song are normally better. Let's get real here.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
When all of that finished and we were changing to get into our runway outfit, I took a look in the mirror, and for one second, I told myself, I'm too stunning. They're not going to get rid of me with that outfit for 1 second. But it didn't turn out that way. But, it's okay. And if I was meant to go at this particular time, that's what it is. Like, I think that I did poorly in the musical. So I was going to be in the bottom. But secretly, I hope that my circus tent was enough to keep me. Yes.
Did you agree with the fact that you were in the bottom two?
Well, that's a tricky question, because I don't know how they do their point. Does the runway count for the half of the point, or does the challenge count for 70% of the point? We are not behind the desk, so it's hard for me to say that. But I think someone else should have been in the bottom with me. If so, we could have easily done a bottom three with me and what's her name? Me and Isis and Eve. That's really what I think. Like, but it didn't turn out that way. Our costume was great for the runway too. Like, I was like, this is stunning, but my costume was also stunning. The only difference, again, it's just my opinion. The only difference that was between us two is that even though I was bad, I did all of the routine, and Eve messed it all up from the beginning till the end because everything was falling apart. So, but that's my opinion. I don't know what they thought. So I thought that I was maybe going to be safe because of that. Like, still in the bottom three, but, you're safe.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like you said, it's really tricky to judge, because do you judge it on runway or the challenge? Yes. I think between you and me, it was very close. Like, it was obvious that one of the two of you, and it was just kind of whichever way the judges went. But unfortunately, you did fall in the bottom with Isis, and you did your lip sync, which was a great lip sync, by the way. It was a great. Thank you. Fun. It was so fun. How did you feel in the moment doing that lip sync?
Oh my God, it was terrible. Because they didn't actually show it on camera, but like, me and Isis were crying so much because she's one of my best friends. And I was like, I want to continue this adventure with you. And, it was very emotional. Like, they couldn't show everything because it's a 1 hour program, of course, but it was really emotional because I loved her. I didn't want to send her home. And I think that she didn't want to send me home too. We were just, why are we against each other? You know what I mean? So, it was quite emotional.
Yeah, you could, because I think they didn't show any of you crying or anything. So I think we, as the audience, didn't necessarily know that you and Isis.
There was a couple of hugs that like they showed and everything. But it was deeper than that. We were like, we didn't want to lip sync against each other because we love each other so much. But it's part of the deal. It's part of the game. So we had to do it. But I think, looking back at it, not that I know that she won, but even though before I knew that she was winning, in my head, I was like, I'm happy that it's one of my friends that send me home, and not someone who, because I know what she can do, I know what she can deliver, and she is fierce, fierce, fierce. So I knew that you sent me home, but I know that you're gonna go all the way. I knew that she was gonna go all the way because I know her and she's like a fighter. And I was like, I prefer that than to be sent home by a girl who's gonna be sent home the next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got to be sent home. You should be sent home by the winner.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, even though because we didn't know what the winner was, I knew that she was gonna go all the way to the end because, like, I knew it.
Yeah, she was fierce. You could tell she was great, and it was just like a little blip. A bit like you. I was like, I think you just kind of had a bad luck that week. But if you'd have stayed, I think perhaps you would have gone a lot further because you clearly had like.
Oh yeah, I would. I know myself. I don't want to be presumptuous because, you know, like I said, I have my background in theater. So I know that everything that has to do with acting, and I'm really good at memorizing lines. So like you can give me any character, I'm gonna nail it. Like I'm like this. I have always loved it. So I was like excited for Snatch Game. I was excited to play any role that they were gonna assign me. Girl group challenge where we have to dance and make our own choreography. I'm a choreographer, so I knew. So you know, I was pretty confident for the rest, but not the singing.
Obviously, unfortunately, you leave that episode. How did it feel to sort of, you know, do your exit and then write the mirror message and everything? How did that sort of all feel?
Not good. I'm gonna be real. Like in the moment, it was the end of the world for me because looking back at it now, I'm like, I'm good with it. I'm at peace with it. And like, I think my run on Drag Race, even though it was 2 episodes and I still had 2 more episodes at the end, but like, I was genuinely happy of what I've done and what I experienced. But in the moment when you get eliminated, it's not a good feeling. I was like, I was down, like I had to take a moment between takes, you know, the moment that I write something on the mirror and that I actually leave the stage because like I was crying. So I had to like talk to myself and say, I have to carry this through. And, you know, it's not easy because in a way you kind of fail, but looking back at it now, I didn't because I still made it on the show at my first try. So I'm still happy about that. But, you know, emotions are so high at that point and we are really tired and everything, like I said, happens so fast that it's a lot of emotion.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that must feel like to sort of have all that emotion and then leave. But to be honest, you should be so proud of yourself. You, even in just your 2 episodes, you showed that you were like so funny. Everyone remembered you. Like you, I really, really thought you were going to be Miss Congeniality. Like, no, obviously shades. But I was like, if you would say maybe a couple of episodes longer, I think you definitely would have been Miss Congeniality.
And you know, like Suki Doll is someone that I learned to know in the show, in the actual show, and like really she deserved a title. She deserved a title 100%. She's now one of the best friends that I had from the competition, and some things that you don't know, she deserved that prize because like I can't cook in life. So when we were back at the hotel, because we couldn't order, we had like a list of groceries. She was making me meals because I couldn't do my own meals. So, you know, she was really Miss Congeniality.
Oh, that's so funny. That's very sweet. She definitely, she deserved her title and she was really sweet.
She's such a kind soul.
Yeah, I definitely think you were definitely in the running for Miss Congeniality, if you ask me. And so obviously, unfortunately, you didn't get to show all of the outfits that you were going to wear, but you did post them on Instagram. And I thought they were all so funny and they all had a great sense of humor. Is there an outfit that was like your favorite or an outfit that you wish you could have shown on the show?
I really loved all my outfits. I was really proud of what I brought. I don't think I could have done better in terms of preparing for outfit for the runways. One that I really wanted to showcase was my Good Girl Gone Bad outfit, because I think it was unique in terms of it was not just a runway that I was planning to do. I was telling a story, like, and the reference from Batman and the Catwoman reference is so popular that people would have got that I was Selena Kyle before she went crazy, and then I transformed into the full Catwoman. And I think it was a good representation of Good Girl Gone Bad. So that's what I really wanted to show. I really liked my ugly dress. With the diaper and everything. That was fun. But I would say that most of my looks, I was really hoping to showcase them, like my dragon look with the dragon heads on my shoulders and everything. I was so proud of it too. I really went for it. But fortunately, people kind of I've been able to discover it, so that's nice.
Yeah, definitely. You almost got them designed, and you need to show them off because they were so funny, and they all had such a sense of humor, and it was definitely like, oh, that's an Océane look. Like, clearly that's...
Yeah, totally. And I'm still gonna, wear them on tours and everything, so nothing's lost. So,
Yeah, nothing. You don't want to go to waste. You've got to use them, and they were great. So, okay. So, as you know, the name of my channel is Drag Tea Served. So, I was wondering if you could serve us some drag tea and tell us anything that happened on the show that maybe wasn't shown, or something that you wish had been shown, or anything like that.
Oh my God. I don't think that there is something in particular that I would have liked them to show, because pretty much like what we see on the TV is really the important things that happens. Like I don't think that we would have needed to see us working for 5 hours on a garment. You know what I mean? So pretty much everything that we've discussed together, they're really good at highlighting what is important. And the only thing that they can show, of course, is how much, like I said to you, how much thing happens fast. That's a thing that sometimes, now that I lived it, and when I watch other seasons of Drag Race, I kind of feel, well, maybe she was short in time, because with the amount of time that we did that, I can't imagine how she managed to do that in that amount of time. So, you know what I mean? I think that that's something that is not apparent, like when you watch it on the TV, but it's still important because it changes a lot of things.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I would love to now get on to some questions from my subscribers, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
So one of the questions was, how does it feel to be university loved and have such a positive reception?
Oh my God. You know what's funny? I didn't expect all of this. Like when everything happened, like even when the trailer got out and people had a first glimpse of me, I was not expecting that, because, for me, I've always been this person, like in Quebec City. I'm still in a 3.5 apartment. And, I'm so ordinary that I couldn't believe, like, people were writing to me from Brazil, from the UK, from Australia, from the United States. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, people really care. So it was surprising for me, because at first I didn't do Drag Race for fame. I was doing it for it was like a learning experience for me. So I was doing it to have fun, to have a good time, make new connection, new friends. And I didn't measure the length of everything that I could reach, everybody that I could reach out during this entire experience. So when people were running to me, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And like people have been so kind. I was afraid a little bit, of course, because we're in a society, I was afraid of some backlash or something. Because, you know, when we put ourselves out there, we have to expect the, you know, both side of a coin. So of course I was nervous, but no, everything was so positive, and yeah, basically I'm so grateful for everything.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, definitely. You could tell, I mean, you could tell that you were so nice. You had such like a light and a warmth about you. I can see why people messaged, you know, wrote into you and everything, because obviously you were such an amazing personality on the show. One person asked, what did you spend your DoorDash gift card on?
You've won a $1,000 DoorDash gift card.
Oh my God. Burgers, poutine, pizzas. I spent it on, yeah, mostly this. Sushi. I ordered pastas and everything. And, you know, I was always keeping it for when I'm on the road, because like sometimes, you know, when we travel and everything, we kind of, yes, we are paid, but food is a big portion of what's going out of our budget. So for like $1,000, I was like free of that. So it was a joy, like breakfast. Yeah, I really dig in.
That's so funny. And how long did that you know, coupon last for? Was it for a few months or a week, or how quickly did you eat through it, literally?
That's a good question, actually. I would say a few months, because like I'm not someone who's into like big expensive things. Like I'm more about like, for me, a meal would be like $15. So like, and I have like $1,000. So it didn't like go as quick as we might think. But yeah, exactly. And you know, when you're on the road and when you do stuff, I think that you eat a little less because everything happens so fast that you don't have a 4-course meal, for example. So, you know, it was great.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you had fun, and I'm glad you had some nice meals out of it. So that's always good. And some poutine, obviously very important. So someone else asked, besides yourself, when you saw the entire cast, who did you predict would be in the top 4?
Isis for me was an absolute top 4 from the beginning because I knew her. I would say that I expected Geometric to make the top 4, along with, well, I learned to discover Pythia along the season, but at first, like not knowing her at all, I didn't think she would have been in the top 4, not knowing her at all, because we all saw what she's capable of. Yeah, so I would say Isis, Gia. I thought Adriana also, because knowing Adriana and how she does things and how it's always perfection and it's always polished, I expected her to be there. And of course me, but no, I can't say me. Wait. Otherwise, I would say, well, I think I had a top 3 actually. Yeah, I think it was a top 3 for me, like with Gia, Adriana, and Isis. I think that was it for me.
That's a good top 3 as well. I mean, I think any of you were worthy of it, and yeah, definitely. I think everyone in your cast was very, very strong and everything. So I think that's a good top 3. So the other question I had was, did you think that your lip sync against Isis was worthy of a double save? And then they said, because it was.
I had so many comments about that. You know, I gave everything that I had. I think it should have been a double save, but I like to hope for the best. Like, I think it should have been a double save, but in a way, and this is my personal opinion who's talking right now, I don't think, even if I would have been better than Isis at the lip sync, I don't think I would have stayed. And my reason for that is that she had won the previous challenge and I was just safe on the previous challenge. So track record wise, you know what I mean? Like I don't have proof of anything that I'm saying because I'm not in their head. But for my opinion, I think that even if I would have done better, I wouldn't have stayed just because if we check our 2 track records, she was a little bit at an advantage of me. And even though I was bad in the musical, I think that she was a little bit better than me too. But it's my personal opinion. Like, but for a double stay, sure. But I think it was too early in the season to do a double save at the second episode. It would have been later. I'm totally sure that we would have gone a double save because our lip sync was so good and we had fun doing it.
Definitely. It was such a fun lip sync. You could tell you were both totally in it. You both gave it like your 100%. It was so fun.
Yes.
Like, I was, yeah, like you said, it was a bit soon. I was like, are they going to do a double save in the second episode? But I was like, yeah, it was worthy of a double save in my opinion. Someone else asked, do you still use your makeup face chart?
I'm putting my makeup completely blind. When I remove those glasses, I don't see a thing. I learned to do my makeup with like a map. I'm drawing a map on my face.
Oh my God. That question. Yes, I do, because I still don't see myself when I paint. But like, I was able to explain it during the show and everything. And you know what's funny is that my makeup for the clown, because like before going to Drag Race, I knew that each of my looks needed to be different, needed to be edgy. I had to bring something different. So I practiced before going to Drag Race. But being told that I had to do a clown makeup on the spot without ever practicing it before, and on top of that, I don't see myself, I can't do that. So that was a really like, I tried to do the best that I could. I was going for a voodoo kind of vibe, like clown, but well, it didn't turn out as I was expecting. But I was still happy with what I did. So yeah, I'm still mapping my face when I do my makeup because but you know what? When I'm gonna have enough money, I wanna have that intervention for my eyes because it's so expensive, but what I will be able to have and to be able to see all the time. So I really want to do that.
Yeah, definitely. That was what I was going to ask. Because you wear glasses, I assume, when you're not in drag. Do you ever wear contact lenses?
Yeah, I always wear glasses when I'm not in drag. I try to contact, I've seen a specialist and like we tried, like I can have them, but as soon I would say like 4 to 5 minutes because they told me, well, it's not comfortable at first, but you have to wait that it settled in. And we wait for like 5 to 6 minutes and my eyes turn all red and like it begins swollen. So I think I have an actual allergy. I don't know if it's possible, but I think there's something going on because my eyes just like I look a little bit like a flea after I had those 2 big eyes, and it's disgusting. So I said, well, contacts are not for me then. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have that little chirurgical operation when I will have the money.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I mean, for someone who can't really see, your makeup was still really good. And so I hope you can have the laser eye surgery that you deserve. And then obviously you could be even more beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Like, yeah, I would say that when I began drag, I was like, this was terrible. It was terrible. But like I practice and I learned to adapt my makeup to my vision. So, and you know, and taking photos and trying error, and we begin again. And, you know, I tried many combination to be able to do what I do now. So I'm really happy and proud of it because I didn't let that, you know, discourage me or anything. But when I will get my operation, yes, my intervention, it's gonna be more beautiful.
Well, I hope you
but I think I'm beautiful. I like myself. I like myself.
You should. You're beautiful on the inside and the outside. That's the combination. Great, so thank you so much. Obviously, I would love to get on to this quick fire question round that I always do. Some of the questions are drag related, some are not, but the whole point is just basically like quick fire.
Perfect.
Okay, so first question. Lipstick or lip gloss?
Lip gloss.
Yes or no, pineapple on pizza?
No.
Favorite emoji?
Oh my God. I didn't see that coming. I would say favorite emoji. Oh my God. Just a regular face with a little wink. I like this.
Great.
Basic.
No, behind that wink, there could be lots of different meanings.
Exactly.
Cocktail or champagne?
Or champagne.
Darling.
Yes, totally.
Can you summarize your drag race experience in one word?
In one word, that's something difficult. One word. My experience would be exhilarating.
Exhilarating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exhilarating.
Thank you so much. That was a great quick fire round.
Yes.
So thank you so much for appearing on my channel. It's been so amazing having you. I'm sure people have loved to get to know you a bit more. And I think we can all agree that way too soon in the competition.
Thank you.
What can people expect from you? You know, what's your next project? I've seen you have a song out.
Yes, I have so much coming on. I have my first song's called Cream Pie. Fashion Cream Pie. It's been out since February 18, and I'm releasing the video mid-March. So everything will, I don't have a date per se now, but it will be around the between the 12th and the 18th of March. My video will hit platforms everywhere. You're gonna be surprised. And my second single will be debuting around June 9. So yeah, a lot is coming on for me. And of course I have, the Drag Race tour coming up, and I have DragCon also in May. So, and all the show happening everywhere. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's great. And so if people want to sort of keep in touch with you or to sort of keep up to date with what you're doing, where would they go to find you? Like social media or website, whatever?
Yes, please do. You can find me on Instagram on Océane Aqua-Black 4, on Facebook, Océane Aqua-Black. And I'm telling you, I try at the best of my ability. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, but I try to answer everybody, because if you take the time to write to me, you deserve to have an answer. So don't be shy, write to me. It's going to be my pleasure to write you back. And I also, I have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm new on Twitter, so you can find me on Twitter, and I post a lot of things. So you just have to go and discover it.
Yeah, I'll put all the links down there and they can go and see all of your mysterious content, I guess.
Yes. And oh my God, go to Spotify to stream my new song and everything that I'm going to put out there. The title is Cream Pie, and your weekend is not going to be the same after that.
Océane, thank you so much for appearing on my channel. It's been amazing. Thank you so much, and all the best.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.